Married people. What's something you wish unmarried people knew? Story 1. Common values matter way more than common interests. Values run deep. You could both be compatible on face value with interests, but incompatible with values. Values are also much harder to change, if at all. This is a very succinct way to put it. My wife and I have been together for a little over 16 years now, 6 of those married, and we don't share too many common interests. I'm insanely curious about pretty much anything, so I have a lot of things I'm interested in. She has a few things she likes that I'm not very interested in. None of that has ever mattered. Also, sometimes it's nice to have different interests and hobbies. Everyone needs time to do their own thing sometimes. It also exposes you to new things. I'm never going to be as interested in glass making and glass art as my wife is, but I enjoy seeing her passion and learning about a whole world I previously never knew existed. And she really does not care about gardening, but greatly appreciates getting to eat the results of it. Meanwhile, I get to go have some me time out in the garden or the plant store. We take part in each other's interests sometimes just to have fun together, but our main glue has always been that we share core values. We may debate them at times and change each other's minds, but the foundations are solid and similar. We have a daughter now, and we're constantly talking about the right way to raise her and to react to new situations with regards to her development and education. The fact that we both have the same goals allows us to take out competing ideas, analyze them through the same lens, and come up with good solutions and compromises. Pretty much all of this would be impossible without having core values in common. Values are like the secret sauce that keeps things cooking in a relationship. This couple might not be into the same stuff, but they have an unspoken bond over their shared values that makes everything work. It's like the magic ingredient that makes their love recipe extra special. Story 2. Your single problems will be your married problems. Marriage and your spouse can't fix you. Work on yourself as much as you can before you get married, for yourself and for your spouse. And the best way to improve your marriage is often for both people to work to improve themselves. Also, even when you are married, continue to work on yourself and support your spouse in working on themselves too. And honestly, any problems you have in your marriage are more than likely problems your parents had that you've internalized. Growing up, my household was like a bunch of roommates. Just 5 people are doing their own thing, and as a kid, that will mess you up in ways you won't realize until much later. You don't learn how to resolve issues because you're expected to fix your own problems. You don't know how to even communicate issues, especially in a relationship, because you don't even have an understanding of what a relationship actually is or what healthy boundaries look like. And you don't even know how to share your happiness with other people because, again, all you've ever seen is people living their own lives in a slight orbit around the person they're married to. Marriage and relationships are so much more than what most people think, but a lot of us are so badly educated about what those things can be that we don't even know enough to start that conversation. Story 3. Getting married will not help solve any issues in your relationship. On the contrary, it's more or less guaranteed to make any problems you currently have worse. So I have a friend who's sort of realizing this. She has kind of a crappy relationship. Her boyfriend is just still in that phase of life where he doesn't want responsibility and just wants to go out every night. She always comes second to his friends and their game nights, sports events, bar hopping, etc. He also lives with 3 of his friends, and it sounds like a total frat house situation. And they're all in their early 30s. Well, she finally sort of badgered him into proposing because she's ready for the whole get married, buy a house, and have kids thing. I say sort of because she did ask if he was planning on proposing someday, or was she wasting her time, and he said yeah, that he wanted to marry her. Then 18 months later and still no ring, so she got a bit more insistent about it. Now she's planning a wedding basically all by herself. Her fiancé is just not interested in helping, and it's caused a lot of tension. They're fighting more than they ever have, and he has said something that has really crossed the line. Basically, picking at her when she's already stressed just makes her more stressed and upset. I really think she thought once he proposed, he'd step up to the plate and grow up. Well, that was a shock to no one. That hasn't happened, and now she isn't sure what to do. I, of course, told her to drop and run, but it's her life, and she'll make whatever decision she wants to make. Story 4. The wedding? It's just one day and does not fix any issues. It goes back to the exact same relationship afterwards. And if you're lucky, that's a good thing. I explicitly wanted my wedding to be chill. There were no rules about what people wore. I didn't care that my mother-in-law wore white too. I didn't know that was a thing until my mom pointed it out. My bridesmaids were to choose outfits they felt good in with a basic fall-themed color scheme. 3 out of 4 chose the same color, but it still looked amazing. I had a loose schedule and everyone danced their brains out when the music hit. My dad got buzzed for the first time ever because the father of the bride got free drinks, and it was hilarious, sweet because he kept finding me, tearing me up, and begging me to dance with him. My friends had to put up a wall of defenses so I could eat something. No hard rules and a forgiving nature for anything make for such an incredible day. All my workers, photographers, makeup artists, hairdressers were invited if they wanted and welcome to food and breaks. They even brought champagne while we got ready, and when we started getting a little late, they stressed more than I did. I tried to keep everyone relaxed. Everyone was so happy. I see these weddings where people have the most insane rules. No dyed hair, no visible tattoos, only certain outfits, and I just see so many openings for it to go wrong. So, in the grand scheme of things, a wedding is just one day, like the post said, and it doesn't define a relationship. And her wedding? It was so chill, rule-breaking party, epic celebration when no rules actually existed, only pure happiness, endless dancing. Sounds pretty good. Story 5. Compromise is not a sign of weakness. It is done out of respect for your spouse. Also, not everything requires compromise. Sometimes the answer is that you both do your own thing separately. Think about the impact a decision has on you and your partner before going immediately into negotiations. Me and my wife have been through couples therapy, not for anything too serious though. We just wanted better ways to compromise and solve problems instead of it turning into a fight. A big takeaway is that there may be some items that you will have to compromise on for the rest of your life. Also, consider cleanliness. Women, usually but not always, are cleaner than men, so there may be an argument about that in the relationship. Tidying up, basically. And it will ebb and flow in the relationship, and it may be a lifelong argument. It's how you deal with it and how much the other person gives from time to time. Now and again, clean up more after yourself or your spouse if you haven't been giving in to the way your spouse wants it. Conversely, if you're the neater person, you may have to find a way to not let some messiness bother you as much. Think of it as a kung fu sparring match where you each know each other well enough that you both let the other win from time to time but are still equal. And at the end of the match, you are your best friends and lovers. Story 6. A gracious, heartfelt apology goes a long way, and make sure to be accepting of heartfelt apologies as well. Grudges are never good in relationships. Learn to forgive your partner, especially when they've gone to the effort of apologizing and trying to be better. Careless apologies are my pet peeve. It's not so difficult to do it right, but hardly anyone does. Hey, I said I'm sorry. Don't defend or explain yourself unless asked to. This is probably the hardest one. The apology is for the other person, not for you to feel better about yourself. Admit fault, show that you understand what you did was wrong, again, not why or what. Empathize, show that you understand the damage you've caused, what this means to the other person, not you, but them. Also explain what you will do to prevent this or anything similar from happening again, if it is something that could be repeated. The other person does not owe it to you to accept your apology, even if it's a good one. They still have agency. Your apology isn't a magic spell or a get-out-of-jail-free card, and you need to accept the outcome. Any apology that fails one of those rules is basically wasted breath. Story 7. Another thing is appreciation. It's not his job to take out the trash. It's not her job to have a meal ready. When you see a partner doing work, just say thank you. Don't just feel it's an entitlement of the relationship. I use gendered language out of convenience and common convention, but please don't lose sight of the point of the comment. It works fine when you switch it to, it's not her job to take out the trash. It's not his job to have a meal ready. Say thank you and mean it for the little things and the big things, for doing the dishes and making dinner or breakfast or mowing the lawn or hauling firewood or vacuuming or cleaning the bathroom or whatever. Do it to your partner and your kids too. Tell your kids thank you for helping out, for putting their clothes away when you asked them to, and they did it without throwing a fit when they helped to do the dishes, hauled firewood, brought their clothes down for you to wash, helped pick up after people were over, or brought down the dishes out of their room so that you could wash them. Tell them frickin' thank you. So my boys help out with a lot of the pushback. They put their clothes away when I ask them to. They bring them down. They keep their rooms, well, not clean or neat, not exactly, but they could be a lot worse. When I ask them, hey, can you bring down plates, cups, bowls, or whatever? You know what they do? They take the 30 seconds it takes to look around their rooms, grab whatever they have, and bring them down. On Sundays, which are trash nights for us, trucks come at like 5:55 or 6:30 a.m. They go upstairs and collect trash in their rooms, and one of them hauls the can down to the end of the driveway for me after they feed animals, goats, chickens, sheep, dogs, and cats. And then you know what I say? Thank you. Life's all about giving props. Just say thanks and keep the good vibes rolling. because those little things can actually really light up the path. And if you're feeling the groove, especially with this video, why not hit that like button and hitch a ride on my wisdom-packing storytelling journey on my channel. Story 8. You don't have to argue or fight. You're different people and it's okay to not agree on everything. It would be weird if you did, actually. I see a lot of people fighting because they're always trying to get the other person to come around to their point of view. Except that you're different. Just have fun together. In addition to loving each other, you should also like each other. Ideally, you don't fight each other, you negotiate and discuss. You fight together on problems. My now wife and I were together for 3 years prior to getting married 13 days ago. Anytime we have come close to arguing, we'll ask ourselves, am I being rational? And every time we ask ourselves that question, we find that we aren't actually fully understanding our partner's point of view. The one time I was upset with her only lasted for like 2 hours. She wanted to talk about her budget. I had a very bad month at work, things were going to be tight for a bit, and I was in no mood to talk about it. She, not knowing, asked if it was a good time to work on the budget. I told her it wasn't a good time and we could visit it in a day or two. Well, a few hours later, she was looking at her spreadsheet and said, I know you can't focus on it, but these are the current numbers and I think this amount will work. What do you think? I got instantly mad, said sure, and then just sat there. Then I asked myself if I was being rational. My wife truly enjoys the budget, tinkering with the numbers, etc. Those types of things bring her joy. She wasn't asking to hurt me or piss me off or show me any malice. She was just excited that she figured out the budget and that we'd be okay. Then I realized it wasn't fair of me to attempt to share that joy with her or listen as she expressed that joy. We don't fight. We don't intentionally try to hurt each other. Sure, we might disagree on things, but that doesn't need to be an argument. We do have a discussion on what would be best for us as a couple. We both agree that our collective needs as a couple trump our individual wants. So the whole point is there's no reason to fight. Unless your partner is being malicious or disrespectful, simple misunderstandings or disagreements shouldn't turn into big arguments. Unless you like to argue, then that's your thing. Story 9. The difference of opinion will be an issue, but it's how one deals with that once it's an issue that's more important. It's not a big deal to have different opinions if the topic is favorite restaurants. But if the topic is where to send kids to school, well, you're going to have to come to some form of agreement. And if there isn't a fight, it just means there's constant unresolved tension that won't be good for the marriage in the long run. So yes, no fighting is a great goal, but there will have to be tough conversations that may end up heated. My advice would be to just try to understand and empathize with your spouse's opinion and why they feel that way. If discussion gets too heated, agree to take a break from it for a while to cool off and then resume at a later time. Ensure such conversations are had in neutral territory. Don't blindside your spouse by bringing it up while you're at your family's Thanksgiving dinner so that your family can make your spouse feel stupid for disagreeing. Story 10. Marriage changes nothing about a relationship. You'll be exactly the same after marriage as you were before. Kids, on the other hand, kids change everything completely. Time is no longer your own, especially with infants and toddlers. If your marriage doesn't have a solid foundation, do not have children. My husband and I recently had 2 consecutive within the first year of marriage. If we hadn't approached it as us versus the problem, I don't know where we'd be. I'm also thankful for the fact that we've been together for over 10 years, so we fully understand each other's emotional processing and needs. I can't imagine navigating the grief and loss without having that understanding of each other as partners. We took turns holding each other up when the other simply just couldn't go on. So if you don't approach these major things as a team, you'll 100% end up blaming and resenting each other. It's a relief to know that I can keep my chill vibes even after tying the knot. All I need now is a partner who's down to stay just as relaxed before and after the wedding and throughout the marriage. Story 11. Getting married is easy. Staying married, now that's hard. Get help if things seem too hard. My wife and I both carried a lot of childhood trauma into our marriage. A counselor helped us both understand that and gave us tools to handle it. We'd have divorced without that help. The normalization of seeking mental health care is tremendous. It's so important and so stupid that in the past it was seen as a weakness. A friend just told me that there should be no stigma about seeking counseling. In fact, she said to just do it on the regular. You don't have to wait until things get bad. So if you go to the dentist twice a year, it should be no problem to go regularly to go counseling together. It's not an admission of a problem, it's a preventive checkup. Marriage counseling is great, should be like a regular checkup type of activity. Story 12. Be sure to have a plan for finances. Sit down and talk about what you're thinking and really listen to what your future spouse has to say. Don't make assumptions, speaking through your entire ideas because what seems obvious to you might be seen otherwise by them. Seriously, consider keeping at least some of your money separate, but not hidden, where you each have total control over your own private account. Pay common bills based on your fraction of total earnings and discretionary spending from your personal accounts. My wife makes about a third of what I do, but she's also got fantastic financial habits. Before 2020, she decided to buy tickets for a cruise visiting South America and Antarctica, totaling about $6,500. Sadly, it was canceled due to the 2020 stuff going on, but she purchased the tickets with money that she had saved, which wasn't by any means all of her savings. I also happened to buy a motorcycle for her for a similar price around the same time. Both of these things could have resulted in friction between us had we been spending from a common account. You lose the ability to give gifts when the money that bought the gift is not strictly yours. So when my wife offers to pay for dinner, it's a genuinely nice gesture that involves sacrifice. When one of us makes a purchase decision, only that person pays the opportunity cost. Story 13. Spending time with my wife is neither a burden nor a chore. She was my best friend before we even started dating, and of course, I enjoy hanging out with her. It's also important to meter this with the caveat that it's perfectly normal to value alone time while married. I enjoy spending time with my wife and opted to spend 4 hours in the car last weekend, effectively giving up my Saturday, just to accompany her to some work business she had. Out of everything I could have been doing, that's what I wanted to do. But there are other times when I'm content to let her read while I play video games. Or tonight, she's busy and I will enjoy having dinner by myself. In short, I don't feel a need to do everything with her all of the time, and in some ways, I value that alone time separately in its own way. I'm all in for that. Doing my thing while soaking up the vibes of my soon-to-be significant other in the same space sounds like a dream. Story 14. Saying, let me ask my wife, doesn't mean I'm asking permission. We're just a team. We make decisions together. Also, if it's about going to or doing something, I'm really forgetful and want to make sure we haven't already made plans. My family does not get this. When my family asks me or us to do something, I will often say, let me ask my wife. They read it as me asking for her permission, which is 100% not the case at all. I'm my own person and do what I want, but it is because I don't always know what she has going on and she is a point person on some of the kids' activities. So I want to ask her to be sure there's no conflict, not because I need her permission to do anything. To me, it's also just, common courtesy. To them, it's me deferring to my wife. I've been married for almost 20 years and they still don't get it. Kind of frustrating. Also, it might mean I don't want to do this thing, so I'm going to use the code phrase that my wife and I have set up when I ask so she can tell me, oh, we're not going to be in town that day, remember? That way, I can say, sorry, we won't be able to make it to your dog's birthday party, and there's no hard feelings. Story 15. Love is a choice. Once you choose to commit to your partner, choose to keep loving them. Choose to respond with love and compassion. Choose to put them first, and vice versa. There are definitely exceptions to this, like harm and cheating. If you go into marriage with a self-centered focus and tell yourself you can leave if things get hard, then, you will. Marriage isn't transactional. If they don't meet your needs 100%, then you should leave. Marriage really should be a partnership where you are both trying your best and recognizing that what your best is will vary based on your circumstances. Story 16. It's a heck of a lot of work, but not hard work, but you have to do it each and every day. Some people get tired of doing it every day. Some people never wanted to do it every day in the first place. And some people make one partner do it all. Sometimes it just doesn't work. It only works so long as you wake up and do it every day. There are no days off. So to clarify, what do I mean by work? It goes beyond the mere division of labor and assets. That's important as well. It means division of emotional labor, of both parties being sure every day to be sensitive to each other, to do tasks without being told, to listen to one another, to work together to solve problems, and to help each other through acute and chronic illness. Over time, almost 9 years here myself, romance and passion do tend to fade. Sometimes it's just getting older. I definitely do not have the same intimacy energy now that I did then, husband too. It's not about replacing romance or passion, but making sure that you have a partner, a real, steadfast companion who you can lean on, who makes life easier, not harder, who makes life fun, not boring, and who makes us feel like we're not alone. Where a lot of folks trip up is that they look for that in a partner, but then don't give the same in return. Marriage is about doing a lot of giving and taking, and that balance gets messed up a lot. Alright, I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you made it this far, I'm sure you'll also enjoy people who divorce within 1 year of getting married. When did you know it was a mistake? Story 5 trumps the feeling of being caught in a tornado, I promise you. And I'll see you in that video. Thanks for watching.